welcome back to the Mayor's Update.
Hey, look at our favorite person is here with us tonight. We're going to get almost nothing done from a question about St. Thomas tonight, but please leave us your questions. We'll get back to them. But we've got Karen tonight, and we just want to have a great old conversation and some fun time. Karen, it is so great to have you back on the show.
It is awesome to be here. And to be honest, I think the only time I was on the show was when we did it virtually. I don't think I've been able to do it in person. So they probably don't know how much you and I actually can talk.
Oh, no. 30 minutes is not going to be enough. We have a timekeeper in the room with us tonight who will shut us up when it's time.
Yeah, Mike's actually just behind the camera there, monitoring everything. We can call him the stage manager, if you will.
Stage, exit left.
Okay. No, you're not supposed to point with that finger. That's not the one. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Back to reality and the things we have to do. Karen, it's so great to have you back for a number of reasons. But the amount of work you've been doing in this community in the last 8 to 10 years has been what we all knew would happen, and it has been phenomenal. Thanks. I know it hasn't been easy for you to come lately to a decision, but it's real easy to know what somebody asked me last week. So how will this go now for Karen for the next 15 months? Yeah. And I said, you will not notice a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, you just won't. She doesn't know how to not do the job. And so she'll do the job she has until then. And maybe even in a more special way, because it may be the last time you do an immigration case or the last time you do something. And I remember my time, and I think you remember how sad I got near the end.
I remember you scraping Joe Preston off the windows.
Yeah, crying.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yep. Look, and I'm going to cry now. But then I cry at Little House on the Prairie. So yeah.
So to speak.
So tell me a bit about this. Your heartfelt stuff in the last couple of months.
Yeah, something. First of all, I think we have to look at. It's not just been 10 years, but I also got to join your journey too. So working with you has really given me, when I'm done, it'll be 21 years of federal service from an MP's office.
Wow.
So you and I both know, and anybody knows, you're on the ground and it's very personal. It's very interpersonal. And the people that you meet, and something, this job fulfills you and is fuels you. It also drains you as well. Yeah. And I think it was back last year, and I started thinking about it in December. I really started thinking, I think I know what path I'm on. And then let's be honest, my family just hasn't had the greatest year ever. But we have an amazing medical system, and glory, hallelujah. But for me, when I sit there with my family and I think, where do I want to be in 2 years from now, 4 years from now? I know we're going in. Well, I shouldn't speak so positively, but I really do feel like we're going into majority government, and that's 4 more years. And you and I talked about this. Yep. When you start something, you finish it. And so if I was to start in 2025, that means I would be done in October of 2029. Well, a heck of a lot will happen in the next 4 years as well.
Right.
And although I love my parents, hi, Dad, who's 88 years old.
Hey, Harold.
Harold.
Wait a second. Harold. Harold's as deaf as I am, so you can. He and I have a quiet discussion that everybody in the world hears.
Exactly. I don't want to miss anything when it comes to my parents. Right? So I think that's really important. I've got my grandchildren. I have my husband who's, as you can see, we're trying to spend time together because this job has been meaning 26 weeks a year. I'm not at home. So
even when you are home, you're not you're not with the household. No. Right. And that I try to explain that to people. Oh, well, you have lots of time off. There's no such thing as time off as the mayor or as the
not if you're doing the job properly.
No.
Exactly. Well, no. And so, right, you're at the cottage or you're camping someplace and your phone goes off and it's a minister who wants to ask you questions. You say, yes, I want to talk about that for the good of the area or what you're working on. Somebody has a crisis passport problem, and those always seem to occur about 11 o'clock on a Saturday night. And you say, okay, here's the steps, because once you've done it once, you kind of know what you're capable of doing.
That is so true, because today I was sitting down with Jill and we were talking about something about a buoy that needs to be replaced.
Jill Ferguson.
Jill Ferguson. Hello, Jill. Yeah. We were talking about that, and I said, well, call so and so. Call Derek Niles. Derek Niles. He's been with the Prevost and all of those kind of stuff, and call him. He'll probably know more information. And it's just the names that you can pull out of your head, but that's 20 years of legacy data in that head. So
Yep.
if you crack it open, there's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff in here. And it's just the people that you meet. In this community, we've continued to grow and we're all just so interconnected. And so it's like, who do I call? Well, you call Dark for this. Oh, who do I call? You call Grayden for this.
Yeah.
And that's just the way we are.
Well, and even to this day, I still get calls that are yours.
Of course, yeah.
No, and I don't mind it. People know I will know how to get a hold of, right? And so fine. It's not my area of expertise. I'll show you later who called me today on a matter, and I said, "Hey, that's not very nice, but not my area.
Yeah.
But I'll pass you on to where we need to go."
Mhm.
I continuously, Karen, the great work you did for 10 years in an office that we had,
Mhm.
right, continues to pay dividends in my life because people say, "Do you remember me?" I go, "Well, I've stored about 10,000 faces up there, but I can't remember your name."
Not everybody
Yeah,
can be
right.
Steve Peters.
You helped me with A, B, or C,
Yeah.
and I know I didn't help them. I know that Karen or Kathy or Jenna or somebody did, right?
It's unbelievable the people that
Mhm.
come back. And that's why when people say, what's the best part of my job? It would definitely be the office.
Yeah.
You look at the people that I work with that then have the impact on others'
Right.
lives. And whether it's Jenna doing immigration or seniors,
Mhm.
Charlie is just a wizard. She started a little bit before COVID,
Right.
but we just crammed her and she
Mhm.
just learned so quickly. You look at someone like Kathy, who's with you and then joined me. So she's now been
She's-
there for 16 years.
Yeah, I was going to say it's getting close to 8. Yep, so
and
16 years. It'll
so
be
there's-
almost 18 at
I know.
the time. Right?
Exactly. So if you have a problem with your
Well, she was
passport,
only 12 when she
Exactly.
started, so it worked.
so if you have a problem with your passport, she's probably dealt with it because she's dealt with a million. If you have
Right.
a problem with CRA, she's dealt with it a million times over
Mhm.
already.
Right.
So that's what we've got there, and we're really fortunate. And then Jill's just Jill.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
It's kind of like I was just Karen with you. Jill's
Right.
just Jill.
No, no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
well, there has to be someone when you can shut the door and say, "Get your head out of your ass," because you're a really good member of parliament, but I know what we have to do on this.
That never happened though.
Oh,
Never during. Just to let you know, we never had a fight
Nope.
during work hours. Only during election times.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes. Well, I remember only once, being really mad because you were wrong and you turned out to be right about where Dan Patterson Park
Oh.
was. Now that was
You
about
got mad about
was-
that.
Well, I just remember raising
Oh.
my voice because you're incorrect. There's not a road there. She says it's Mapleton, and I went, I'm the member of Parliament from Elgin. I know where the roads are. Okay, I looked it up and apologized 14 times.
Yeah. That was the road
But
that
I-
you needed
but-
to cut.
I mean, I said that in a conversation last week with one of the members from the press. I said, I just don't remember. I don't remember us being ever mad at each other. I remember us both being very firm on what
Passionate.
decision we thought had to
That's a
happen.
great
Right?
Passionate's the
Right.
word I
Yeah.
would describe it as. That's the way we call them, the Martin family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
passion. Oh, there's a lot of passion in the Martin family.
Yeah.
As someone who knows the Martins very well,
Right.
Yeah.
there's a lot, and it's
Yeah.
great passion. It means that good things get done, and
Yeah,
you've done a
it
lot of
does.
amazing things for our community. I think
Thanks.
that's one of the things I want to talk about here.
Yeah.
Is how connected you are to the people of Elgin County,
Right.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how much you work. And you said, in terms of the office and helping out. And one of the
Right.
stories that I've shared before with people is how you helped my family, and when you were working for Joe, to help workers come in from the U.S. who were apprentices for our farm. And like our farm is a very specific farm because it's horses, it's
Yeah.
organic,
Right.
and so we can only have certain people that are interested. And they're working for basically nothing. So like they have to have the passion, and you can only find them in so many
Oh, yeah.
places. Anyway, my parents couldn't get it to work. They called Joe's office. They talked to you. You figured it out. But the thing is, that's really cool. It's like my dad has never put a conservative sign on his lawn, but it didn't matter to you guys.
Oh, it shouldn't
Oh.
matter.
It was like
No.
you're in office, you're there to serve, and you did the job, and you helped out.
Yeah.
And that's always been very like that impressed me. It's impressed my family, and we care and we love you guys because of that. Because you're there not as partisans, but as people to help the people.
I was describing Joe one day, and I
Right.
had just said, for Joe, it was really about customer service.
Yeah.
And so you felt like do you want a Frosty with that, right? So you're kind of upselling everything, yet
Mhm.
you're in a non-for-profit
Yeah.
business.
Oh,
And it's
But-
like,
but
Can I
it's
do
the
some
right-
more work for
If you
you?
can take that attitude to anything, right?
yeah.
You're going to have a happier day, right?
Oh.
Your life's going to work out.
Yeah.
But you're also going to accomplish things for people who just didn't believe it was going to be accomplished.
Yeah.
Totally.
Right.
And you can
Oh.
work across party lines and you can get stuff done. And you've
Right.
talked about that working with Steve Peters
Oh,
Yeah.
when he was in the provincial
Yeah.
office as a liberal. And you can go across this, and you've done
well,
the same thing.
I give Karen the blame. I mean, the credit for that.
Well,
because we really said, why don't we just, why would we not talk to each other? And I know that you and I have shared this story 100 times about how Steve said, I don't remember having a meeting with Garnutza.
I know.
Ever.
We had meetings, but it's because, and Mom's Date Squares had to be there if Steve was coming.
Right.
So we also had that little relationship there too.
Mm-hmm.
We all loved food. Right. And so I think the thing is, with you and Steve, it's easy because you both have the same love for your community. So that was really, really easy. It was really the staff, that staff to staff thing, because I remember the first time I had to do an event in London, and I called Craig, who was the communications officer for Steve, and I said, God, they're so mean. Like, what's going on? Are we not doing an announcement? He said, Karen, other offices don't work the way we do. And I'm like, what? That's stupid. Yeah. And that's just how I always felt. But I see that. You see the provincial office and the federal office don't work together, and sometimes they're the same colors.
Never they would meet,
and they're saying, like, they might be conservative, they might be liberal, and they've never met before, and they're in the same parties. You're supposed to be there for the community.
Well, we made lifelong friends with Sean Lewis.
Oh God, yeah.
Now Sean's the deputy mayor of London, and that really helps me now. He and I were supposed to be meeting tomorrow. We're now meeting at Amo in Ottawa, right? Yeah. Because he worked for Irene, and we included Irene in stuff, and Sean was just we're conservatives and he's not, and it didn't make a difference. And we've talked a lot over the last month about the difference in our attitude towards partisanship. Yeah. Right. That too much in politics right now, there is the other guy's wrong, and I'm right.
Yeah. That sounds like me at home.
And I could get Stephanie on the phone right now, and it would be exactly the same. But we're nonpartisan. We're at least inclusive in all the other stuff that we do. Yeah. And it worked better.
It works better. It works better.
Well, you can see it now with what you've done for our community as the mayor, working with the federal level and the provincial level to bring more industry.
Well, please make your friends, because you're going to need them sometime in life, maybe 10 years later.
Yeah.
Do you know something? I don't think people know that Mike, who's across the table, but Mike and I walked down with champagne.
Right.
Following the announcement, we were walking down on the Ottawa streets talking about St. Thomas.
Right.
Those are the types of relationships you need to have, because if something goes wrong, I need to be able to contact them. Right. And so I think I was always taught you got a lot more.
And they better be able to contact you, which is also the other way, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I watched you work, and plus I had worked under minority government. You guys were in minority governments as well.
The first 5 or almost half of my time in Ottawa, a little more than half, was minority government.
And 2 years of opposition.
Right, an opposition government for 18 months at the beginning. Yeah. So I got to see each piece of it. Yeah. Really loved the government side. I know I've shared that with you.
I know.
But it is about not making friends when you're their boss.
No.
When you're in a majority government, it should be pretty easy to tell the other party what you're going to do.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
But to convince them it's the right thing to do and then still do it is not easy. Yeah. And in opposition or in minority governments, you're about making friends so that you're smoothly greasing the wheels of legislation to get it done. Karen, what's the biggest thing that you've accomplished in Elgin, Middlesex, London?
In the riding?
Yeah. I'll ask about Ottawa in a bit. But
honestly, I would have to say, I don't want to look at projects, anything like that. I would have to say it's the supporting the families and the people in this community. To be honest, that is my bread and butter. Knowing that when people need passports, taxes, whatever it is, that they can get that service that they need.
Or a child tax credit didn't come in. That's so important. Or a check they were supposed to get didn't happen.
So my greatest success is not me; it's the people I work with.
Oh no, you have great staff that does it. But you told them to do it then.
Oh gosh, no. We're all on the same page, right? And so it's community first, and it's the people first, and so. I would have to say that's my biggest accomplishment is we have people that come in that, like you said, they don't have to vote NDP. They don't have to vote Conservative.
They don't have to vote.
I get more people that come in and say, I've never voted for you. And I'm like, okay, so what do you need?
Great. How can we help you? What's missing in your life that we can help?
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter. And you know something, at the end of the day, you're doing your job. You're elected to represent 130,000. That's what I'm doing.
Which is incredible.
Yeah.
That you're actually handling that and doing it very well. From everything I hear.
I thought we were talking about work-life balance today, and that's what I was going to say. Yeah, let's not even go there because that's not such a thing in this life.
I'm sorry to say, you're like me. I'd go all day, every day till somebody says, hey, you need to slow down just a little bit. And then you realize you do, and when you do, it works out better. And you're a better person the next day to accomplish even more because you've recharged your batteries a little. Yeah. Right? What's the biggest thing you ran into or liked in Ottawa?
you know,
It's a completely different
It's a
job. isn't it?
totally
It's
different
two different
job.
jobs.
Honestly, it would have to be the status of women. The
Yeah.
status of women, the work that we were able to do was incredible. And Kira's Law, last year I'd gone down for a celebration down because the year before we had finished that piece of legislation up. And that was probably the biggest change in my life when it came to the way I viewed things on how we can make changes in government. And seeing that piece of legislation that came through as a private member's bill from a person who wasn't on our committee. I had someone call me. She was Pam Damoff called me and said, Karen, this is really, really important. Kira's mom called me. And when you sit there and talk to Jennifer Kagan and you speak to her husband, Phil, they are the two most compassionate, loving people in the world. And they want to make the world better for others because of the loss of their own daughter, Kira. Yeah. So that was the worst but best stuff I've ever gone through. It's the training of judges on domestic abuse. So people understand that when we're talking about what happens in the home and if this person has already gone through so many, what do we need to do? How do we make sure people are supported? And in this case, there was 53 court orders when it came to the child shouldn't be with the father. And unfortunately, the final court order was on the Thursday and she passed away on the Saturday after being thrown over a cliff. Yeah. We can do better. And,
we clearly can on all of those types of issues. That's an easy fix. We just have to be more thorough and
absolutely. And from that, even I do lots of follow-up. So all the files I'm working on, like you said, I'm going to go out with a lot of work. So I've gone back to all my safe sports stuff. So I'm working on the Hockey Canada stuff right now, going back to that and looking at ensuring that whether it's St. Thomas Minor Hockey, whatever we're doing, what is that process? How can we do better? I'm working on, actually I'm doing I don't know how to write a white paper, but one day I might. But we're doing research on looking at family benefits and how it impacts people in child support. You name it. I've got 3 big things really on the go, and violence against women, of course, is usually something that's turning that research that I'm doing. So,
would you agree? We live in like the best country in the world.
Absolutely.
And we have so many great things that we do well, right? And our social safety net processes and programs are about as good as they get. Mm-hmm. But you can't afford, sooner or later, I think Margaret Thatcher said this, sooner or later you run out of other people's money.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I spent most of my time there, and I continue to do it here. And I know you had a similar, we need to help people who need help, but can we quit trying to help 100% of the people and help those that need it?
Yeah.
That the safety net needs to be stronger for those that need it the most.
I think, you end up doing that shallow across, trying to help everybody, going, we need this universal. Yeah, I believe some things, healthcare, I really appreciate that. I think that should be universal, and it is. But there's certain things that I think, I really believe in the sliding scale when it comes to economics and helping people with that way. But when it comes to housing, when it comes to childcare, all of those different things, the cost of living, as you know, is outrageous right now.
Yes.
And so we need to review on what we can do and how we should be helping as governments at all 3 levels. And to me, I really believe in teaching a man to fish. That has always been something I believe in, is that sort of like you can teach me to be an MP and I'm going to teach the next person. I really believe on taking what you've got and training others so that they too can better their lives.
Yeah.
Just start with that. Start with kindness and help other people, and we all can move forward together. It's very, very happy, joyful like I am, right? So that's just my philosophy.
And occasionally, and I know only occasionally with me too, we have to put that on, right? I know I've said it more than once. There are people I have to work with who I don't want to know that I don't like them, that I'm not having them over for dinner. But I need their cooperation to move projects forward. And in Ottawa was the same way. So I don't get to call them an asshole, right? I get to call them a friend, and I work with them still diligently and earnestly to make sure that we're going to get the big thing done.
Yeah, right? Big picture. I can throw sand in the sandbox just as good as anybody else. Right. I just choose not to. Maybe it's because I have 5 kids and I just know.
You've refereed.
I refereed and nothing gets done. And also I think being the chair of the status of women for all of those numbers of years, we were dealing with some of the most sensational, outrageous things were happening to Canadians, whether it was human trafficking, whether it was the abuse in sport, mental health and suicides. Yes. We were dealing with some really tragic things. So for me, I felt I was working with very vulnerable members as well. I know that when we did the mental health study and we were talking about suicides, I had 3 members within our committee that will all have breakdowns as you're listening to this. So one of the things that I pushed in Parliament was trauma-informed questioning and trauma-informed committee work, so that when we're asking somebody like a victim about their experience, how can we do it that we're not re-victimizing that? So actually, I'd say that's some of the great work that we've done too, but that makes you work together when you're thinking about the witness and how you can get the most out of the witness, is making that witness.
Without also re-traumatizing them,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we've got to meet some really great people in our time, whether it's our sister's place or Megan Walker and Morris, who her husband I knew. We got to be pretty good friends. I would not call us on the same side of a political spectrum
when it comes to some issues.
Oh no, I agree. She can be, right, and I can be too, right, and you can be too. But it's who you meet that you would say, not a chance in my life would that have ever happened if it wasn't for the place that we are.
Yeah,
right?
That is so true. Yeah. The people that you meet that you can help too, because sometimes people are just having a really bad day. And so I think that sometimes you have to just help sometimes straighten that person and get them back on track. Sometimes I'm the person that needs to be straightened, but
Yeah.
And I admit that too.
Same.
But you know what? Yeah. I think even as I age, and I'm going to ask you the same question, you're comfortable in your shoes?
These are great shoes. I got them at Mug for today. Absolutely. You know something? I have learned exactly who I am over these last 9 years. And if someone said, "Where's your moral code?" I'll say, "This is what it is. This is where I believe in." Mm-hmm. And I think it's because I've met so many people. And what I said to somebody today who's looking at getting into politics, don't surround with people you agree. It's easy to do that. Bring the people that disagree with you into the room, because there's usually nuggets of information that you need to know. Yep. And
listen to them. Hear them when they say it, because eventually they'll turn into saying yes.
Yes.
Because they're your friend.
And Jill said, she kept on teasing me being full of sayings today, but I use your saying. There's this side, and then there's the truth. Right. And that's the way I look at things so many times. I know I'm emotional, golly gee. Oh. So if I'm on something very passionate and emotional, you may not get me moving too far. So it's important for other people to also recognize that.
We start talking about lumber rights in Temiskaming, and we
go,
might be okay. Probably somebody to this is important. This is important.
Oh, very much
but, so. Hey, the rights to the use of the beach at Port Stanley. I mean, you take it close to home, and it starts to be, somebody who it involves, right? And it works.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely. There's so many things when you're sitting in the federal government, there's things that, may not have any impact on the people that live in this riding. But the majority of it does, right? Because we are supposed to be making national policies, not individual provincial policies that we sometimes do. But, we have to have that national scope. And I have to make sure, I really believe it's the GBA plus, gender-based analysis plus. And that plus to me is the most important thing. The plus means to me the rural versus urban, the poverty levels, all of those things, the education. You have to look at everything to actually truly understand what the situation is.
Mm-hmm. So. But sorry, go ahead, please.
Oh, yeah. We have one of the questions we wanted to ask too is you went into politics and you had a young family.
Oh, I sure did. Yeah.
And it's one of the things that Joe was talking about as well. And it's really hard. So there may be a lot of people that are looking to run potentially as you're stepping down. Mm-hmm. And what would you say to those people if they have a young family?
Well, I think everybody does it differently, but it's to each his own as well. I believe in everybody having their personal choice. For me, the first person that had to be on board was my husband, and he was. And then I had to go to speak to my mom and dad. They were number 2 and 3, right? To make sure I get their approval. Yeah. And then Mike's mom and dad, because let's not kid ourselves. Who's going to be supporting my family? It's our parents, it's our siblings. And we've always had that support. But that doesn't go without challenges, right? And I think anyone knows that we have gone through as a family through very strong, very difficult challenges. Yeah. But at the end of the day, this might sound crazy. It's made me a better person because I've walked some shoes that I never thought I'd have to walk in. Right. And I think that's okay. It makes me real. I can sit there and talk to people and go, I get it, being there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot different for me. But for those people, to each his own. Don't get upset. If any women are running, don't get upset if your husband doesn't know how to vacuum properly. Mike is still learning, 10 years in training, but he'll get that done soon. You know something?
If you go to all hardwood, you can sweep. No.
If we could go to hard. But I just find, like, for anybody, it really is up to your partner. This isn't a job about an individual. This is a job about a family unit and about a partner, because your partner is now taking care of the home. Your partner is the cook. They are the laundry person. They do everything that you need to do when you're not at home, as what a family.
When the insurance bill comes due, I know who's there to pick up the mail and has to do it.
And that's what he's done for
all of
years.
That.
Absolutely, all of that for years. So, because you'll find that if I have to pick up the bill, it might not get paid because it's actually under a pile of other things that I need to get done. So that's usually my problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. And when you're grabbing it at midnight, it's not possible to do it. I'll put this on for tomorrow.
But then some minister calls you, and then you've got an emergency to deal with.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden,
funny enough, it still happens at Mayor. So you're right.
Yeah,
Same stuff happens.
And emergencies do happen. They do happen. You have to look at, unfortunately, even if you look at COVID, you have to look at how we all turn on things and how things changes and how we need to respond. All of those types.
It taught us how to be more urgent and detailed and communicative. I think COVID, that 2 years of having to not be in the same room, but make sure your message was still happening and people were hearing you. It's hard at all the levels because and people were suffering because there was different things that were now happening.
And you were meeting weekly with an emergency group. Karen, were you a part of that as well?
I was on different emergency groups. I would have been on this emergency group, but off and on, because there was always those things, but we learned so much from that. And I never want to go back into that place, but it really has taught us how to work much more effectively. And so for Parliament, here's one thing for parents. This was the biggest change, was the voting app. Now, some people may not agree with it. I believe that we have hybrid Parliament now, and there are parts of it that I really do support. It's pretty fantastic when I can vote and not have to say to the person who's sitting in my office, hey, there's an emergency vote coming up right now. It was just called. I have to leave this.
I have to leave right now.
I'll be back in 45
minutes. Dump the paperwork on the desk and run to the
Now I can sit there and vote on my app. So that means that I'm actually doing my job plus able to vote, where instead of rescheduling that, and I'm not wasting other people's time. So to me, having people fly in to Ottawa and then me cancel their meetings is a waste of a lot. So I love the voting app, though I love the idea of you all should.
The traditional of all the standing votes.
But I believe in standing in the House to do your speeches. That is very, very important, because that is the House of Commons. That is that green room. That is so symbolic. And so when I stand in that and I'm projecting your voice, because for some reason I'm thinking I'm in choir, but I want to project my voice so everybody can hear me. It's just, you're speaking to the country at that time, if they're willing to listen to CPAC.
I could often figure out that my mom was on, but that was it, right? But it isn't only that time. It's how much now with social media, when you say it, you can play it over and over again on your own. Too. You can take your message and get it out other places. I love the tradition of this place too, but we've modified it a bit since COVID. I think we get along much better. We're way quicker at what we do because we learned how to do things smoother and better, as did Parliament.
Yeah. So. Oh, absolutely.
And I've got one final question in relation to the capital gains tax.
Oh, God. So we're talking capital. Yes.
Capital gains, agriculture.
Yes.
And it seems crazy to me the way it's set up right now.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, right now, the capital gain. So I can tell you that initially when it came out in the budget, it was actually pulled out of the budget because they wanted us to vote on that separately. I think they thought it was going to be a wedge issue, but what happened is people started looking, and more Canadians recognized that they were being caught up in that, because even, people who owned a second home, like a cottage, even a small cottage, maybe in Bruce, that they bought for $75,000, capital gains issues now, that you always had those issues with secondary residence. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And as you're seeing this, especially in the agriculture, because you've got to look at family farms. This is a lot.
But this is a generational pass down. This is a government taking the money instead of your children getting it.
Yeah. There's all of these different things, and I think we have to. There's the agriculture. I speak to a lot of doctors on this too.
Right.
Who were told to set up their corporations instead of getting a pay increase many years ago. They were told to set up for tax reasons, and that's what they did. And now they're losing additional 17% when they're going to be removing this from tax.
And it's about the 17% that they've raised the equity in their practice, so that they knew that was the retirement is gone. Because
that's
it's
what the
going to go to
farmers
the
did.
government.
And that's exactly
Same
what
thing with the
and that's
farmers.
exactly what
Yeah.
the farmers do. So it's that taxation piece. And so when you speak to people like Dr. Kelly Scott, who is phenomenal around this community,
Right.
trying to get doctors here and all of those things, doctors are going to think twice.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to find in small business and anybody who's investing in agriculture. I mean, that is their whole livelihood. So
Right.
there already are tax considerations for farmers that are a little bit different, but I think we have to take into consideration that
And
everything has
fishers
changed.
and
And
other
but there's been a lot of changes
loggers,
too.
I suppose, the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
thing. But yeah.
And so we need to make sure those are up to date as well. When we come back, I know as a new government, we will absolutely be reviewing that. That is something that we voted against with pride, and we'll continue to do that.
Well, I think we had a good middle ground as to where capital gains should be.
I think people
There was, look at, if you're really taking an increase in an asset, fine if it's some of that is taxed, but don't take all of the savings from somebody's retirement
Yeah.
to help fund a government that's overspending.
And absolutely, it's just another.
The mayor
kind
who
of
cannot run a deficit says.
exactly, but it's like the household budget. You can't run a deficit, and why do we continue to run huge deficits?
Right.
But that started in 2015. So I know you said that was the last question. That means we're getting close to the time because I heard a bell.
Yeah, that was the clock tower at City Hall going off.
That
That's
tells us get the heck out of here.
where we've gone over time. But
Oh.
I wanted to ask that one because there's
No, it's
more and
true.
more
It's one-
dialogue happening about
and here
it.
it's an issue that people are now starting to understand.
Yeah.
Where some of them don't understand carbon tax or what it might do or how
Mhm.
it's, what the benefit of it might be if there was one. But you're right. This is one that hits your wallet in your house.
Yeah, and in particular in our issue too with land, if it's okay, so we're going into expropriation for some farmland for
Right.
some things.
Yes.
And the way it works is that if you sell it without going to expropriation, you get hit with capital gains.
Right.
But you're being forced to sell at what they consider to be a market value. So if they're selling it and then they're taking an additional, 67% on top of that?
Well,
Then
can be up to right.
Yeah. And of course, primary homes. That's something that we have to be very cautious
Right.
on. There's
Mhm.
always discussions of that. I don't see that coming, but there is the concern of that.
We've
being
got to
applied
stay
to
away
those.
from the primary homes unless we're giving a tax advantage on the interest of mortgages. That's an
Mhm.
American thing,
You
and I
sound
don't
like
necessarily
Ed
want
Bass.
that. You can't get me one place without the other. You can't
No,
just throw a tax
absolutely.
on our
Yeah.
primary residences.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you've got to take all this stuff into consideration as you
Right.
put these bills through because they have a waterfall effect for all
Absolutely.
these things.
For everybody.
So it just
Yeah.
seems like a very big one for a lot of people that I know.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And this was about thanking you for how great you have done, right? And we're getting into the politics, and I really didn't want to, but you're a smart enough
That's my
person
bad.
to
That's
know
my
what's
bad.
also right.
Yeah.
So I also trust your advice on
Well,
some
thank
of
you.
these,
Thank you.
and I will miss the triumvirate of you, me, and Jeff Urich, and you, me, and Rob,
Yeah.
and what we've been able to do in this area.
We've always had good trios here.
Yeah.
I've always been really proud
Oh,
of
even
the
and even
trios.
when it was
Mhm.
Steve, like
Yeah. Oh,
as
yeah.
I said, it doesn't have to all be one party. It was just the right people working together towards exactly the biggest thing we can accomplish. And you are great at helping us do that. It
Yeah.
was I may not have done this job if you weren't in that one.
Oh,
Right?
okay. Sorry, Stephanie.
That's a whole nother.
You somehow think Stephanie's watching Mayor's Update.
Okay.
I'm sure she watches
She
every
will
episode.
She catches
watches-
up. She may
she's-
not watch them Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
But she does catch up. But look, if we couldn't be where we are in this area, where I think is a pretty good place to be without you.
Well,
Yeah.
I couldn't be where I was without you and, well, that guy over there, of course.
Yeah.
But to be honest, people will say, what was Joe to me? And I talk a lot about, sorry, I know we're past half an hour.
It's okay.
But I do a
This
lot
is
of things.
important.
I do a lot of things on mentorship. So
Yeah.
I was speaking at Queen's Park a couple of weeks ago to the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association.
Yes, saw that.
And talking about mentorship. And I just said, we always think it has to be a man mentoring us. We talk about breaking glass ceilings. And I said, my mentor was Joe Preston. That's who my mentor was. And he opened every single door or helped take some of that baggage and helped me carry it. Right. And I said, mentorship is get it where you can and just trust that person because they're taking you on that right journey.
Yeah.
And since Princess Diana wasn't available, I thought I'd go with you.
No, okay. and I understand, although I can look just as good.
Yeah.
This is our life. We really had this.
I love it.
It took Karen maybe 8 to 9 years of the 10 that we worked together in our office to quit laughing at my jokes. She was the one who's carried on the longest with my weird sense of humor.
You just have to go with it.
Yeah.
Stay happy. Stay
Right.
positive.
Yeah, like Caitlin here hasn't quite figured out it's okay if she doesn't laugh, so she does. But it's okay. Stephanie has now figured it out. Yeah, I'm no longer funny.
Yeah.
But
It's
again,
amazing. I'm seeing all these different questions come up. Amazing.
I know.
we're going to try and answer
That's
some of
awesome.
these when we're off air,
Yeah.
just so we can give an impression. For those of you whose questions we didn't get tonight, we're going to try. Grayden and I are going to try and do it. And if some of them are specific to Karen, we'll ship them off and get an answer. Next week, we're trying to do Mayor's Update while I'm at AMO, the Association for the Municipalities of Ontario, Tuesday night. Steve Peters and Laurie Baldwin-Sands are going with me. We're going to try and do all three of us from Ottawa and Grayden, wherever Grayden is, and do your questions about AMO. So
That's
we're
great.
going to answer, and we know we had even a couple questions about AMO on here tonight before we started.
Yeah, we had
So
a couple.
we'll get them all.
We were going to get some, but like we thought it was very important to have this chat with Karen because Karen is an amazing person,
Right.
and I don't know if enough people say that, so we wanted to say it and say
Wait
thank
for my
you.
husband to tell me.
So
that later
I've
tonight.
got to go to Ottawa this weekend. Karen's not there for me to visit, but it's
No.
yeah.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to wander the streets, go to the Eternal Flame.
So people
do
don't
my
know that
stuff.
whenever I went to Ottawa with you, you would get me my chocolate and my
Oh, yeah.
Swedish berries.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what you would feed me to go to Ottawa for.
I have a couple of favorite pubs I plan on. Which Stephanie might watch the show. But no, it's still a place that has great memories for me. I promised I would not go back into the House of Commons till it's back in Centre Block.
Oh yeah.
And so I've been waiting hundreds of years for that to get back there. But the town is still incredible to see.
Yeah, no, totally. And one of my favorite memories too is when I was flying out for a film job and I ran into Karen in the airport in London.
Yeah.
And then we chatted. We met some other person that Karen knew, had known for years from like the Sparta area. So we all got talking.
Just hang out in the
Yeah.
airport, you know?
I made friends at airports also. Joe Fleming, a couple of other people who I didn't know before politics, but every Sunday night we'd be going the same place or
I had a guy that would bring me books. Hey, I think you'd enjoy this book to read.
right.
Yeah.
Mark Sargent and I used to run into each other at the airport almost there and back.
Yeah.
And so we became, good talking buddies about different things. It just, had nothing to do with Parliament.
Yeah.
It just, I met them because I was flying. Right. So it was,
Absolutely.
right?
You sit
Perfect.
down and you meet some incredible people and chances. So, yeah.
We have maybe a gift because Rogers was not able to tape council last night. So they have a gap of a half an hour in their shows this week.
Okay, so we should just go for a full hour.
Maybe we could give them. Yeah, I think we'll give them an extra long show. Yeah, because what they do if we go past half an hour, they decide what of the 30 minutes is not there.
Oh, so if you give them a full hour, then
We gave them 40 minutes. They take
they
10, and it might be the last 10, or it might be a middle 10 or something. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, you never know what's going to get cut.
Because now they're replaying Mayor's Update now 4 times a week. Tuesday nights for one, but the Tuesday night Mayor's Update tonight is last week's show.
Okay.
And then it's on a bit. So we were just recognized from a Transparency in Government group.
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Because we do this. Because we actually talk about local issues, all open forum, ask your questions. Right. So Mayor's Update's in its 5th year now, and we've done over 250 shows. So we got recognized. We had to put together a neat little thing as part of this. I don't know if it's a contest or not. But
Was
we
it
did.
for Ontario? Where was that?
Canada.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
If you can believe it.
Yeah.
But that's the way it should be. You got a question.
Well, I think
that's what I'm
everybody
doing.
should do this.
Yeah.
Right.
And if we
It's
don't
so
get
easy.
to it like today, then we'll get to it later on as we can.
We never forget. It sometimes takes 2 or 3 more
take a little
shows.
time.
And sometimes, hey, what happened to the parking spots in front of the library? You mentioned them 8 weeks ago. Well, they are done. So, yeah.
Yeah, they eventually did get done. But and you might have, if someone's viewing and we miss it, then just let us know in the comments and then we'll get back to it.
That's awesome.
And this sits now on Facebook or on social media, more than just Facebook. And so people even add questions during the week to tonight's show.
I'll be honest, I'm concerned about Grayden. How much time do you spend with Mr. Preston here, Grayden?
A lot more than
Will you and I be going to
We've
therapy
been working on
after?
him.
Here's the jokes. We talked about the jokes. Now I'm doing the same jokes at home. Now Lily, my daughter, she laughs at them, but she laughs at them like, ha 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 ha.
So
Yeah.
You're funny, Daddy.
Yeah.
oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, I think she's got the sarcasm part down.
Oh, good.
So,
Oh
so,
no, that of course that's genetic.
so Joe, was it Christian or Garrett that taught you one of your favorite jokes?
Oh, it had to have been Christian.
Have you told your joke lately?
The
Yes.
knock.
Knock.
I use that still as part of comedy routine. Knock knock.
Who's there? Interrupting.
Something but what cow?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting cow. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting
what?
cow.
Move. Yeah. Okay. I was really feeling.
Okay,
But there's a funny. But I used that one in Parliament. I used to practice jokes in Parliament.
And you
it-
learned
Like on CPAC?
a question period, because we're not watching what's going on. So I'm sitting in my chair and I tell this joke to Greg beside me, and I tell him the joke, and he's laughing his head off, and because I got it from I guess a 12-year-old or so. That
Christian, you hung out with Garrett and Christian from
Right.
the time they were 2 and 7. So yeah.
so the person on the other side of Greg said, "What was that?" So he told him the joke. And we went back to watching question period and other stuff. And about a half an hour later, we're hearing ruckus, right? And across the top row of the House of Commons, it is now around to the end on the other side, and you could just watch and and then it made it. And I said that's the best indication of question period and the seriousness of the people watching it in the parliament.
That goes round.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, interrupting cow. Sorry, interrupting
Interrupting
cow.
cow.
I haven't used that joke. No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for joining. What you're gonna?
Railway City Music and Arts Festival. That's
that's
just
just
mention that out of all the things that's happening starting on Thursday. There's an incredible lineup of bands. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Rose Gibson posted it. I shared it
We've
on
been
established
sharing
media.
it all over the
Where is
place.
it taking place?
Pinafore Park.
Starting 3:00 on Thursday afternoon. Now I'm out of town going to AMO on Saturday morning. So I'm going to go Thursday and Friday over to the park.
Right on.
And what a great. This is the remnants of old downtown festivals, and the Arts and City Music Festival is something we'd really like to see become a bigger and better thing at Pinafore Park.
Yep.
And so let's get out there and support it. And if you want to volunteer, I'm sure they'll still take volunteers because
I'll
that's
volunteer
a
to
big
play
thing.
the tambourine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What
Any
about the
bands?
cowbell? I think they need some more cowbell and
that's
some
more
of the
Mike.
Mike.
That's more
I
like-
play triangle.
Cowboy? Cowbell?
Cowbell I can do.
Always need more cowbell.
Yeah. Oh, it's even church hymns can be just fixed up with a good cowbell
Just more
section.
Yeah.
Gentle bell.
Yep.
Gentle Bell.
So that's this
That'll
week.
be
What
fun.
else we got?
That's the big one. I mean, sure, there's a lot of other stuff. You've got the Railway City Tourism events page. You've got the Myathon events page. You have the Elgin County events page. Those 3 pages, they will
Everything that's
cover
going
you.
on in town, you can find your stuff there.
Yeah.
And not just town. I say St. Thomas, but I'm supposed to. But all of Elgin County. There is stuff all over
Everywhere.
this weekend. And the weather's supposed to be warm through and through. We've got Oktoberfest coming up in September. We've
September
got a bunch
21st.
of.
The
I've got
second
my
best.
lederhosen. Yeah.
We're making sure that it's not the number 1 Oktoberfest because we don't want a whole bunch of people driving
From
here.
Kitchener Waterloo.
Yeah, because it's bad for the environment.
We're number 2.
Yeah.
You know, we're an EV city
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
We don't want people burning all those fossil fuels to come
No.
down here. So we're second best.
Right.
It's good enough that people will stay here, but it's not so good that everyone's going to come here.
Is that how we're
We
That's like
we have the mayor of Salzgitter, Germany, joining us this year. We're becoming
Really?
Yeah.
yes. When we visited Salzgitter, that's where the PowerCo headquarters are. We asked to become sister cities with Salzgitter, and they wanted to come try us out and see if they like us.
Do any of them make Haagen Dazs?
Well,
I hope so.
Can we go to a sister city with them too?
Oh,
Well,
I love that.
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
So we will be. It takes during Oktoberfest. The tradition is that the mayors tap the kegs,
Yes.
right? So, and in Germany, that's a Bürgermeister. So the Burgermeisters tap the keg. So now there'll be 2 this year. So there'll be even more beer because we get to tap it twice.
And you are going to wear your hosiery?
I did just purchase some an outfit for Oktoberfest. I
I
did.
think John Hoffus probably has one from when you guys did some plays.
When we
down there.
did, but yeah, my lederhosen for when we did.
Yes.
He has a habit. I mean, he was Mother Superior. Come on, don't tell me he had lederhosen on under there.
And I've also heard that it's coming that even though we were saying it's second best for Canada,
Right.
we're the most authentic because we're holding it on the same day as the official
Munich.
German Oktoberfest.
Right.
So,
Awesome.
Which is really weird because it's in September.
That's
So
what
we
I
don't
was-
get the
no,
October
yeah.
piece. But
Yeah.
look, I think you just stay drunk till October. But is that it? Or you eat sausages till
I think it's
October?
lots
or,
of spicy sausage.
Right.
yeah.
Oh, we've got dancers from the Saxonia Club.
Mhm.
We've got Oompa. We got everything going
got
on downtown
competitions.
St. Thomas.
And we're going to do a Goose Chase app so that the people need to visit all the businesses in the downtown. And I'm working on getting a really large prize for that. I want to have I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this. This is what I'm aiming for. A $3,000 prize in total that'll be
something big.
split up
Okay.
between all the different people that enter in the Goose Chase app, which means you have to go into the different businesses and actually
So we
participate
cause
with them.
our businesses to do bigger and better things too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Like
Going
I
in
noticed
by-
you had Taco House tonight
Oh yeah.
because
yeah,
you're
me-
right across
yeah.
from City Hall, so you bet.
Yeah.
The Flautas, I saw
Oh.
Mikey. They're incredible. They are my
Very good.
absolute favorite. They're like, Mexican cigars dipped in guacamole. They're just beautiful. And they have a couple desserts over there now that I've tried. Stephanie, somebody told me about them. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah,
The-
Mike was telling me. Yeah,
The rice pudding one is like
Oh,
really
I love
quite
rice
good.
pudding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
This
Yeah.
is probably. I think we've answered all the questions.
I know,
Karen's
whenever
favorite
I see
dessert, rice
Karen,
pudding.
I always think of Date Square.
Funny.
It's Pat.
Yeah, Pat used to
totally.
Pat used to keep Joe happy or Karen's job easier by keeping the MP happy
Yeah,
by
you
giving
just-
him Date Square.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Keep the
Yeah.
boss happy.
Holy cow, that's a long question.
Oh my goodness.
We're going to answer that one next week.
Yep. We'll get into all these. We have so many questions that come in.
Oh
we will
my
get to
God.
them.
Yeah, we'll spend some time right after trying to come up with what we think the responses are, and if we have anything that's really tough, we'll send them off to Karen.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
And,
only the really hard ones.
Only the really hard ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is. But Karen, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for joining us.
well,
Thank
not
you so
only
much.
just for joining us, but thank you for your
Oh.
time serving St. Thomas. We're a far better place because of what you did.
Well, I think I probably have about 450 days left, so I'm still here for a really long time.
Okay. Well,
It's just that this gives a landing. This
Yeah.
allows for somebody to
really prepare.
prepare
Right.
and get their name out there, and we'll have a campaign next year.
And there's been a few phone calls,
Yeah, there we go.
right? Just like you're getting.
Yes.
Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think?
What do you think?
Right. And as you asked, how would you deal with a small, or how would you? Am I too old to go do it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? How would this
There's
work?
so much.
Do I really get to be home? No.
No.
I don't
I've
even
had-
think of it. Sell the house and move to Ottawa. No, I'm just kidding. You represent the area.
Absolutely.
It's so hard,
Yeah.
but it's so valuable. And yeah, I'm looking forward to
Well, that's why you
everything
want the
that you
right
do.
person doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Oh, yeah.
certainly have heard of other areas that have a member of parliament that doesn't work as hard as we thought we had to. John Wise taught us. Right?
That was
I
our
mean, I go
problem.
back as far
We
as
learned
John
from
and
farmers.
Ken.
Yeah.
Right?
Never sleep, you know.
And
Yeah.
look, when you feel you don't want to get up and do this job, get the heck out of it
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're not going to be as good as you might have been. And right. Yep.
Absolutely, Joe.
Well, perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
You're
I was going to
welcome.
say I'll miss
Yeah.
you, but I know where to find you, so
Yeah,
I'm not going to
yeah.
miss you.
I honestly,
I'll miss this part.
I'm looking forward to you being around here
I'm looking-
more,
oh,
so we can all hang out more.
I've got about
That's like
five
uh,
suggestions
selfishly.
there, but I won't give them to you until after we're off here.
okay, fantastic.
all right, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Okay,
Take care.
see ya. Have a good
Bye.
one.